Suppose you're looking at a marshmallow. You have two options. Wait for the first marshmallow and then get a second marshmallow, or eat one marshmallow now and be done. How long do you think you'd wait for the second marshmallow? Would you wait for the second marshmallow at all? This was the challenge confronting preschool-age children in the 1960s. They had no idea that the way they solved this challenge would become part of one of history's most famous psychological studies. In this video, I'll explain the Stanford Marshmallow Test, what it was, what it stated about success, and how it continues to influence psychology today. So the idea of this test was quite simple. Stanford professor Walter Mischel and his team placed a single marshmallow in front of a child, generally aged 4 or 5. They told the child that they'd leave the room and return in a few minutes. If the child ate the marshmallow, they would not be able to acquire another. But if the child waited until the researcher returned to the room, they could get another marshmallow. Researchers noted which children ate the marshmallow and which waited. And then the researchers waited. They waited and waited. When the children were teenagers, the researchers revisited them and asked their parents a series of questions on their cognitive abilities, stress management, and ability to maintain self-control under pressure. They also looked at the students' SAE and AT scores. A few years later, the researchers evaluated the participants again for self-control. So what exactly did they find? In summary, Mischel and his team discovered that establishing self-control as a toddler had a significant impact on the child's subsequent success in life. Success took many forms. According to their parents, children who waited for the second marshmallow scored higher on SAT, had lower levels of substance misuse, were less likely to be obese, and had greater social skills and self-control overall. To my astonishment, one of the children who passed the marshmallow test was Susan Wojcicki, YouTube's CEO. In her book, How to Raise Successful People, Susan's mother mentioned that one of the researchers contacted her and informed her that Susan was the child who had waited the longest. Because of the nature of the experiment, the findings were published in the 1980s and 1990s. Since then, the field of psychology has regarded this study as one of the most important, paving the way for new perspectives on how personality influences and predicts success. But first, let's discuss why the children ate the marshmallow immediately away. The marshmallow test, however, was able to provide researchers with evidence linking self-control to success. In summary, your ability to regulate yourself as a child may have an impact on your adult achievement. But what factors influenced self-control? Because not all children took the marshmallow right away. Mischel and his team devised a hot and cool style of thinking to explain why youngsters would have eaten the marshmallow right away. The same style of thinking might be applied to any task that requires immediate pleasure, such as making a purchase or smoking a cigarette. Okay, here we go. When we're not tempted, most individuals hang out on the cool system. It is the cognitive ability to consider the long-term rewards. We all know that smoking is terrible for us, and refusing a cigarette will benefit our long-term health. We know that if we wait, we'll get more marshmallows, and that if we go to the gym instead of pushing the snooze button, we'll be more alert later and healthier in the end. On the opposite side are heated stimuli. They pose a threat to the cooling system. When things warm up and grow hot, our behavior becomes more impulsive. We smoke a cigarette, consume the marshmallow, and press the snooze button. But this raises the question of why some people heat up faster than others. Why are certain stimuli hotter than others? These are the questions that psychologists like Mischel have been attempting to address. There are several other studies in this field. The Stanford Marshmallow Test collected data from a small and not particularly varied set of individuals. Not all of the researchers believed that the test had discovered the one genuine key to success. So a more recent study was conducted to retake the marshmallow test, focusing on many social and economic issues that may also influence a child's performance. The mother's educational background was the most important element they considered. They divided the participants into groups based on whether or not their mother had a college degree. The researchers additionally adjusted for family background, early cognitive abilities, and the child's home environment. In short, they discovered that self-control did not have the same effect on success as the marshmallow experiment predicted. Children from more affluent parents were more likely to simply exercise self-control. When the researchers controlled for social and economic factors, they discovered that self-control was not important in predicting success, which raised a lot of warning flags. This not only calls into doubt the results of self-control, but it also raises the question of why children grab marshmallows in the first place. Researchers have expressed varying perspectives, including comments on how scarcity affects a child's ability to use and take resources. Think about it. Wealthy children do not have many problems waiting for food, toys, or other items. Their parents can afford it. They will get it. However, children from low-income homes face additional challenges. Food can be scarce. A parent may promise to take their children to a great restaurant or purchase them an interesting item, but they may not be able to follow through on it. If something is right in front of you, you might as well take it because there's no assurance it'll be there later or that you'll get a reward for waiting. I thought this take on the marshmallow test was interesting. Another few research on willpower and self-discipline have found that removing the temptation from one's control allows people to resist it for longer. For example, if an alcoholic discards any alcohol in the house, a person attempting to lose weight has someone else purchase for them, or a person wishing to study just sells their game console. The concept is that it's difficult to resist temptation, but it's simple if you remove the option. In the Marshmallow Experiment films, they discovered that the children who diverted themselves performed the best. They covered their eyes, played a game, or perhaps summed to themselves. This is only a little more information about the theory of willpower, but I'll have another video on it later. Let us get back to the marshmallow test. While recent research has claimed to refute the marshmallow test, the study's impact is undeniably noteworthy. Mischel's research demonstrated how specific personality qualities affected a child's chances of success. Further research has been conducted on various personality qualities and how they connect to success in areas such as business or romantic relationships. Without the marshmallow test, we might not have heard of phrases like growth mindset or emotional intelligence. The marshmallow test is not the only classic experiment that has recently under criticism. Psychology is currently experiencing what is known as a replication crisis. Replications of world-renowned experiments such as the marshmallow test and the Stanford jail experiment reveal that these tests may not be as reliable or accurate as we were taught in school. Psychology, like any other field involving the scientific method, is constantly evolving, with psychologists continuing to modify, change, and adjust hypotheses that do not stand up to modern tests. However, once we get back on track, self-control does have an effect on behavior and perhaps success. However, it is up to current and future generations to learn more about how self-control is influenced and how it affects other personality traits and variables. So, as I wrap up this video, I'd like to thank you for viewing the marshmallow experiment. And if you have any queries, please comment them below. I enjoy responding to questions, and I invite you to view additional videos from my social psychology series. I will see you at the next one.